Hi, this is Bob Ferris, an executive advocate with Murphy Business, and welcome to the second tutorial in the Lean Turnaround series. This is the business model deliverable. When we look at going to a business model workshop or even listening to a tutorial such as this one, we may think it's to be able to develop a canvas. It's not just to be able to develop a canvas. There's something else, and we want to drill down into exactly what it is. Now, the business model canvas is based on 9 elements common to business plans. What is important is that the alchemist knows the way we put these elements together is very important, so there is a layout. And this layout tells a story just by looking at it. Okay, in the center, the value that we produce is delivered to the customers who need it, and they provide the revenue. And then as that process continues on, the relationships build and so forth. And from business model generation and from your first introduction to business model, this right-hand side of the model seems to have most of the activities. However, when we started personalizing that, focusing on that right-hand side in the beginning was pretty problematic. In fact, I'll give you a quote from the book, Personal Business Model Canvas. Chapter, you'll see there starred, in a personal business model, the key resource is you. And I mean you by yourself, your interests, skills, and abilities, personality, and the assets you own or control. In organizations, key resources often include a broader range of resources, such as other people. The personal business model is resource constrained. We just have you, so there's no point developing on the model side if we don't have the resources to deliver. We start on the resource side and develop appropriate values as opposed to starting on the model side. Now, I'm going to start calling this the resource side, and the right-hand side I'm going to start calling the market side. It's easier to make those distinctions. And if you look at the processes we have, you'll see that the book Business Model You starts over here with you, and you're the resource, where business model generation really starts into what makes a good market. In either case, we are creating insights that produce emergent values. So both books have internet communities. Business Model U has one called www.businessmodelU.com. And we were discussing these differences between the two books. Tim Clark actually contributed most of this graphic. Both books start with drawing up a canvas. Business Model Generation has a focus on design principles and how we could approach that market better. Where Business Model U has reflection principles. How do we understand who we are and what we have? And then in either case, we take those things, revise them with insights, and then we act on them, revise them with further insights. It's all canvas thinking, but coming from either a right-hand side perspective or a left-hand side perspective. In either case, insights emerge, and they're different insights. Those canvas insights are the deliverable. That's what it is that we want to get. Now, I want to make another analogy to physics. This is one of my favorite toys. In fact, it's a picture I took in our house. It's called a radiometer. That black and white diamond is actually spinning madly in the Texas sunshine. If the room were dark, it would look like the camera froze it here. It would be still. Somehow light causes that thing to spin. Now, physicists have two models of light. One model is light as a particle, and one model is light as a wave. If we think of light as a particle, it's easy for us to imagine light getting in there and somehow having the force to propel those diamonds to spin around. However, light as a particle can't get in there because it's completely sealed. However, if we think of light as a wave, then there's no problem because the energy can flow through that clear seal. Any physicist would not get hung up on which is right, light as a particle or light as a wave. Okay, they are just models. Models are incomplete, but we use them because they are useful in creating insights. The same thing is true with whether we take a right-hand approach or a left-hand approach to gaining insights. Now, I've introduced this right and left-hand approach in the way that we've typically thought about them, and that is the right-hand approach, the market approach, is more oriented to organizations, where the left-hand approach might be more oriented to individuals. I'd like to open that up a little bit. Okay, here's an example where we're going to take a left-handed approach to an organization. Something that you would normally think of reading Business Model U and using a personal business model where we have the limited resource, which is you. In this case, we have a limited resource, which is a company on the verge of bankruptcy. Pretty much in the same scenario as you or I. Okay, we only have so much time and so much money. This particular organization sought the services of a turnaround consultant, and he wrote about it. His name's Michael Kami in the book's Trigger Points. That manufacturer was Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson was a longtime manufacturer of motorcycles, very popular in the United States, but at one point, Japanese started entering into the U.S. market, and quite frankly, they had better dollar values than Harley did, and Harley started seeing their revenues going down and down and down and down until the point they were pretty much ready to close the door. And they sought a partner with Michael Kami, who came in and said, what can you do to turn this around? Now, he didn't have the resources to go out there and reinvent the motorcycle game. He had to do something to keep this company alive immediately. So he looked over on the left-hand side in the resources, and he saw their established brand. And he said, let's start to work on this. He did it initially just to create some cash. And what he did was he said, let's take this established brand and let's start selling it. And they started promoting Harley accessories so that they could get accessory revenues. Harley decals, Harley hats, Harley t-shirts, Harley leather jackets. They were extremely well received by the Harley riders. And in fact, people who wanted to hang with the Harley riders needed one of those Harley leather jackets. And if you had one of those Harley leather jackets, the last thing you were going to do is buy one of those Japanese motorcycles. And guess what? The sale of motorcycles started going up. Now, this became problematic to the Japanese motorcycle manufacturers who were now losing market share. So they, in turn, did a market study and kind of focused with their customer relationship and their channels. Why are the motorcycle riders now starting to buy more Harleys and not our brands? Now, it's very difficult for the customers to say that it had to do with these cool leather jackets. So they came up with other reasons why they preferred the Harley. And the most common one was, well, Harley has this manly roar, you got to, and that's what the researchers took back to Japan. And instructions were sent to the Japanese engineers, hey, let's make motorcycles that have a manly roar. What the marketing people didn't realize was that this was very problematic for the Japanese engineers. Noisy engines are considered defective in Japan, and the engineers just really weren't very good at building defective products. They only knew how to build quality products. So to solve the problem, what they did was they went over to the United States, bought some Harleys, and started recording the sound of the Harleys. Vroom, vroom. And they built a chip, which was a noise generator, connected to the accelerator of the motorcycle that would vary its sound with the acceleration, and it would sound like a Harley. Harley found out about this and went and patented the sound of a Harley, which, guess what, is a resource. Okay? And when these Japanese bikes were introduced into the American market, Harley sued for patent infringements and won. Okay? And the noisy Japanese bikes had to go off the market. And today there is a community of Harley that's still around because of a left-sided turnaround. Now, this example hopefully leads you to the fact that market-based perspectives or resource-based perspectives are both valuable in creating insights. I want to call the market-based insights startup scenarios. You want to invent the next Google. You want to be a game changer. You even want to invent, as an individual, a totally new career. Okay, you better be interested in the market. And then there's the resource-based people, the turnarounds. The turnarounds do not want to be game changers. They like their game. They just want to be better players. All right, this is for an individual reinventing an existing career. And you'll find a lot of people working in personal and professional branding using the tools of resource-based Canvas insights. We can also apply these equally well to existing organizations, such as the Harley example. The point is, it's not a specific canvas that we're after. What we're after is using canvas thinking, all right, to emerge insights. So it's to our advantage to be able to use both different perspectives, the startup and the turnaround, in order to help us develop those insights. And the way to do that is the subject of the next tutorial.